It's a Blades Owl show again this week, or an Owl's Blades show if you prefer it that way around, but we've got all the bases covered, all the boxes ticked. If you were with us for part one, I hope you were. If you weren't, you can catch up with it on my YouTube channel later, or repeat on Sheffield Live TV at 11 PM, an interview with ex-Owl striker Neil Mellor. And coming up in this half, we'll be hearing from former Wednesday left-back from the glory years, Nigel Worthington. Kevin Gage is still with us. James Gregg joins us with his roundup, and among things that we'll be talking about in due course will be the success of the kids teams at Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United. I say kids, the Owls under-23 team has got a big match coming up, and last night Kevin and I saw the Blades under-18s succeed, but we'll go into that later. Just a theme about team strengthening from part one and what you think they might need. The bigger priority for me is not so much we need him, and we need that quality. Isn't keeping that wonderful togetherness and team spirit, isn't that number one, and not disturbing it?
Yeah, the way Chris Wilder works, definitely, yeah. But I think you know Chris as well as anybody, and you've heard from his recruitment stuff that they will do background checks on all the players. It's not just about what they do on the pitch. That they'll try and get a feeling about what kind of character they are to make sure they fit into that group and they gel with that group. Yeah, that's as important as what they actually do on the pitch. That may sound strange, but the way Chris works, that he does put a lot of attention into that.
Quite important, that, isn't it, really? You know, you can see it visibly as well. You know, it's not just because you know it, but you watch them and you see they're all celebrating together and whatever. Yeah. It's quite nice. Yeah, it's vitally important, I think. And
you've seen that as well in the pictures. I mean, we don't probe too deeply into celebratory football club trips abroad, as Sheffield United's players have had in Las Vegas. But from what I've seen picture-wise on Twitter, that togetherness is shown again. You know, the whole group.
I think so. You know, yeah, they've got obviously they've got lots to be celebrated and be pleased about. Yeah. But I tell you what, club trips have come on a lot since I was playing. It used to be Magaluf for a week, with every other football team in Magaluf. So yeah, they've gone up a notch, haven't they?
You used to go with the player, with the manager and the assistant manager and stuff.
Yeah, well, we used to go with Bassett purely because we could get him in a dark alley and beat him up in the streets. But I think Chris was wise to maybe step away from that, and he certainly hasn't been sitting at home doing nothing, has he, Chris? Because he's got lots of transfer targets, and there's lots of rumours. He's been out to Paris to meet the Sheikh, or not meet him, but to talk, for a meeting with him, and to talk investment and the way forward. Yeah. So yeah, perhaps he's put his time to better use than being on the Las Vegas Strip.
He's also maintaining that sort of mate, sort of boss balance as well, isn't it? Because he obviously does muck in with him. All he saw that with the celebration. Yeah. But then if you do get to Las Vegas, maybe that had just sort of cross that line a little bit, wouldn't it, between mate and gaffer?
I think so, yeah, I think so. I joke about Bassett, but Bassett could be sat having a drink with us and whatever, but we knew he was the manager. We're not taking too many liberties, you know.
But he had that ability to switch, didn't he? He used to talk about switching heads, putting a different head on. And he could just be what he wanted to be at any particular
It could
time.
be to an extent, and then all of a sudden you sometimes, certain players in the squad knew they could push him just a little bit far enough, and then he would completely change. And as you say, he'd get his manager head on, and then it was all hell would let loose, and he'd know he was the manager once again. But I think Chris has got that kind of authority built in. He seems to be a brilliant manager. Absolutely does, yeah.
Right, okay, we're going to come on to subjects including the signing of Ched Evans. We're only talking about Ched as a footballer. We're parking off everything else because I think everything else has been done and dusted. You know, it's been round and round and round, argued to a standstill, so we'll only talk about it from a footballing point of view, which I think is right and proper anyway. Yeah, I'll ask you about that. We'll also hear from Nigel Worthington, more on the Sheffield Wednesday playoffs against Huddersfield and the two junior teams.
Of course, Owls in action on Sunday in their first leg against Huddersfield. I'm sure if you are watching me say this, you're fully aware of that, and you've probably got a ticket, or you're probably sort of making plans to watch it on the telly on Sunday. But a big well done to the Wednesday under-23s, because they've reached their playoff final. Rather ironically, it's against Hull, sort of a repeat of the senior championship playoff final from last season. So that's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. kickoff at Hillsborough. And also, massive well done. I know you two guys were in attendance at Bramall Lane last night for Sheffield United's under-18s winning the league title, and you said that there was echoes of the senior team.
Well, the way they played, business-like, and they deservedly won it, I thought, as well, over the 90 minutes.
They were the better side, weren't they?
Yeah.
It got a little bit fractious in the end, didn't it? A little bit ill-tempered, but I think Sheffield United deserved to win that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear as well, Del Geary's like. Is he a ranter and raver, or is he reserved, or is the manager?
He was giving it a little bit, I thought, from the touchline.
I think there was 3 of them, I think Travis Binion was up there shouting, and as I say, it got a little bit ill-tempered in the end, and there was lots going on.
There was. There was a late Coventry penalty appeal. Mind you, Sheffield United should have had 2 penalties in the first half, in my view. The referee didn't seem quite on that game at all. You know, all people have got to learn, but he seemed way off the pace to me. I don't know what you thought.
Yeah, I don't think he helped, did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't help. And United had more than enough chances to put that game to bed, really. Well before.
And more importantly, there seemed to be a couple of 3 players who looked very, very good footballers indeed.
Who are you picking out? Who are you picking out?
There's a big lad at the back,
Sam Graham.
Sam Graham, I mean, he's about 6'4", and he must be 16 stone. And I mean, I'm not going to mess with him. You know? If he knocks my pint over, that's fine.
There's an invitation.
I mean, he looks a proper centre half. Obviously, there's lots of reports about Reagan.
Reagan Slater.
Reagan Slater in centre midfield.
Harvey Gilmore looks a tidy player as well.
He's in
midfield with him. He's alongside him in midfield.
And the left back impressed me as well.
Yes, he got great crosses.
Superb left foot.
Yeah.
Always willing to get down that left-hand side. Looked a proper wing back. I'm sure he can play left back, but because Sheffield United were on top, he was flying down that left wing, and his delivery was superb at the right time and at the right pace, at the right kind of height, you know, for the attackers to get in. Excellent.
Yeah, lots of good signs. And you know, Del Geary was talking on here about, you know, there's that fine line between, are you looking to develop players? Isn't it more important to develop players than have a winning team? But he's adamant. I think he's probably right. You know, under 18s, they've got to learn to win. You agree with that? Yeah.
I think if you're going to tip the balance one way, I think you want to start winning games and get winning mentality. I think the development of the players will come anyway. You know, you're not going to develop at a faster rate. You know, if you, for whatever reason, I think be a winner.
Yeah.
And then you will develop at the same rate whether you're mid-second.
Confidence breeds confidence as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll move on in a second, but you know, like the team this year, the senior side, lots of players who, like Coots, for example, picked one out. Confidence by winning has turned him into, you know, a better player, hasn't it? So that's probably a lot to be said for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll move on to the Sheffield Eagles.
Before you do, looking forward to going to Hillsborough tomorrow. I can balance it up. I've been wanting to watch the Blades under 18s and the Owls under 23s all season, but knowing that if you go to one and not the other, there's a problem. So this week I've been able to get to both. So I'm definitely going to Hillsborough.
Very good. Well, good luck.
And we'll talk to Gagey about something else, family orientated, in a minute.
We'll do, absolutely. Well, good luck to the Owls tomorrow night at Hillsborough. Sheffield Eagles away against Toulouse on Saturday, that is, and a bit of a dispute with their star signing Dane Chisholm, who I was sort of gushing over when they signed him at the start of the season, but he sort of has signed for Bradford Bulls despite being contracted to the Eagles, so a bit going on there. So we'll see how that one pans out in the next few days. Don't think he'll be in Toulouse by any means on Saturday. Speedway, big meet going on tonight at Ollerton against Redcar. Full strength side, start of the season for Sheffield Tigers, they're going well as well. And golf as well, plug another event going on at Bramall Lane on Sunday. But finish off with a bit of golf. Players' Championship, they call it the 5th major, it's in the PGA Tour, and it's over in Florida. Willett and Fitzpatrick, 2 Sheffield lads in action. Willett with his new caddy, of course, after his caddy sacked him, bizarrely. I know, it's true, actually. It is, it's true. So, Willett with his new caddy, Sam Haywood, a short while ago. Matt Fitz was level par. Willett was 2 over. So Willett, he's the caddy he won the Masters with. Basically, always falling out. Willett's obviously not been playing very well the other week. He just said, right, I've had enough.
I've had enough of you.
Yeah,
I've had enough. You're not going to win. You're not winning.
And it's weird because they're really good mates, and you know, and I think they just got sick of the way that we've been together. It's out on tour together all the time.
I thought it'd been a job for you.
Well,
job for you, eh?
I'm not sure it's as good as this. It's nice and cushy.
No, this is much better paid as well, of course.
Just plug this as well. Well, yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Well, especially with Willie at the minute with his foot.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about on Sunday. You're not involved, Kevin, but it's a big one on Sunday. It's of course Sheffield United big charity tournament. It's the Legends against Celebrities for Cash for Kids. Once Upon a Smile. Chris Wilder's there. Paddy Kenny, Rob Cosluck, Tony Agana, Rob Page, Mark Todd, Michael Brown, just to name a few. And of course, in the celebrity teams, Wes Brown, former Man United in England, of course. So get yourself up there. Kick off at 2 p.m. £8 adults, £4 juniors.
Brilliant. David Holdsworth's hoping to be, because I did my personal training with him today, but he took an injury last weekend, and he's having a late fitness test, as it were. Yeah. Absolutely.
Will you be there spectating, or are you...
Yeah, I'll probably be there spectating. I'd just like to say all those players you mentioned are a lot younger than me.
They are.
And I was kind of asked to play, and I turned it down because I'm not fit enough to do any kind of running like that, I'm afraid.
Well, I'll tell you what, members of your family are, and we'll come to that shortly. Meantime, let's just turn back to Sheffield Wednesday and the playoffs, Huddersfield away on Sunday, and then the home leg next Wednesday at Hillsborough. Been a pleasure today, not only to speak, as you heard earlier, to Neil Mellor, but also to former Wednesday left-back Nigel Worthington, a pal of mine from way back. Managed to catch up with Nigel, the ex-Northern Ireland manager, among other things, and Norwich City. Managed to catch up with him earlier today. Nigel, thanks ever so much for joining us. I know that you'll be following events with great interest with all your Sheffield Wednesday background. I'm looking it up today. Time flies when you're having fun. 10 years you were at Hillsborough, a whole decade.
Yeah, no, it went very quick, and I look back, Alan, with great memories and playing with many great players, and we had many good times, as you well know, and supporters through thick and thin, to be fair to the Sheffield Wednesday supporters. They stand by the team, and it's a fantastic club.
They've had a lot of thin to put up with since those heady days, the early 1990s. Since when, of course, you've had an impact as a manager. You've managed several clubs, not least Norwich City. You know what it's like to get promoted to the Premier League, as you did with Norwich in 2004. So you can put this into context. Just how hard is it to get from that level to the top level?
Well, if I can sort of explain it, Alan, from the point of view that the Championship, when you're in that top 6 stroke the top 3 to try and get promotion, it's like a marathon. It's just relentless, week in, week out. And for Sheffield Wednesday, I think they're in a fantastic position. They had a fantastic season 3/4 of the way through. They had a little hiccup, which all clubs do. And then they come back pretty strong at the end and got themselves into a very good position. So I think over the course of the 2 games with Huddersfield, I think it's going to be a very tight affair, because Huddersfield have had a fantastic season as well. But I would fancy Wednesday just to edge it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going along with you on that. Certainly Neil Mellor, who I spoke to earlier in the programme, had the same gut feeling. Tell me, how do you assess the job that Carlos Carvalhal has done at Hillsborough? First foreign manager in the club's history as well.
I think overall he's done a fantastic job. He's been, obviously I'm looking from afar, he's been low-key, he's not looking to be high-profile, he gets on with his work. I think the way he's handled the Forestieri situation earlier in the season, that was very, very good man management to bring him round and get him back in the team and get him on side again. So overall, I think he's done a fantastic job. But between him and the players now, they've come so far that they're on the fringe of potentially a huge final. They've got two finals prior to a huge final, which is multi-million-pound at the end of it. And for all the hard work that each and every one of those, including the manager and the staff, has put in this season, it's well worth going that extra mile, if you can, to get into the Premier League and go and mix it with the big boys.
Yeah, Forestieri is a big player, as he's proved consistently in his time at Hillsborough. And that seemed to buck a trend in football, the way, as you say, that Carlos Carvalhal and the club dealt with it. I mean, so many clubs kind of keel over in the face of an apparent attempt by a player to leave. Just how good for football generally was the stand that Sheffield Wednesday took?
Well, I think it was a great example to many people in many clubs of how to handle a situation like that, because you more often find that when a situation arises like that during the course of the season, it can be very, very disruptive. But between the manager and the club themselves, and I would think the players around about him would have a say in things as well. The way they dealt with it, the way they dealt with it very, very quickly and tidied things up and got focused back on the most important, and that was the season and heading towards promotion stroke the playoffs where they find themselves.
Yeah, it'd be great to see Wednesday back in the Premier League. It's been too long, hasn't it?
No, it's been a long time, and as I say, the Sheffield Wednesday supporters, through thick and thin, they turn out in the numbers week in, week out, and I'd be absolutely thrilled for the whole football club, because there's still many people there when I was there many years ago, and for a club like Wednesday to be back in the big time would be fantastic. But the one thing that I would say, Alan, for any team to gain promotion, they need strikers, and Sheffield Wednesday has got an abundance of those. So let's hope over the course of the next 2-3 games that those players, with the support of all the others around them, can really kick in and go and earn their corn and get promotion to the Premiership. Yeah,
big players can score big goals in big games, and I'm thinking Jordan Rhodes there.
I've spoke to people at Norwich City on numerous occasions. I mentioned Jordan Rhodes on many occasions to them to go and get him. He's the sort of player that can get you out of the Championship into the Premier League. With him, Fletcher, Forestieri, I mean, what a wonderful array of talent there is there. You've got all sorts amongst those three. So to win things, you need to score goals, and Sheffield Wednesday certainly got that within the ranks. Many thanks, Nigel. It's a pleasure as ever to talk to you. Best wishes in all that you're doing, and thanks very much indeed. Alan, pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much for your time. All the best, mate. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye now. And indeed, gratitude to Nigel Worthington. Some really interesting thoughts from him there, not least his endorsement of the way Sheffield Wednesday, Carlos Carvalho, and indeed Dejphon Chansiri handled the Forestieri affair, but also indicating that Nigel saying that to his contacts and pals at Norwich, where he was manager and had a very good relationship with the board, that he was urging them to come in and sign Jordan Rhodes before Wednesday did.
Yeah, he was a player in demand, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So Wednesday have done well to get him. They're going to use him. I would imagine they're paying him enough money, so they paid enough for him. So,
what am I doing? What am I doing discussing Sheffield Wednesday with you? I told you before the show I wasn't going to. I'm ever so sorry. I'm really, really, really sorry. Anyway, we've ticked our Owls boxes, and very best of luck to everybody at Hillsborough for the playoffs. And thanks again to Carlos Carvalho for an absolutely memorable, wonderful interview in here. We really enjoyed his company a week ago. Sheffield United ladies. We've talked about the first team winning the title, the under-18s winning their playoffs.
It's been a season of success all round, hasn't it? Yeah. The club has invested, not heavily, but they are making significant investment into the ladies team, and they've taken on the community ladies as they were known, and they're now called Sheffield United Ladies. Under the affiliation of Sheffield United, they train at the academy, and they've won their league as well.
Marvellous, congratulations.
Yeah, they've done well there, and I know quite a bit about it because my stepdaughter actually plays for the academy under 16s.
What's her name?
Her name's Isabel Ford.
Isabel Ford.
Yeah,
so watch out for Isabel Ford.
Yeah, she's not bad. She's played for England as well this last month.
Excellent.
So she's getting there. Yeah.
Excellent, wonderful, and congratulations all round. We've just come back. We've just got like 4 minutes of the programme now, just to top and tail. Did mention Ched Evans earlier. Talk about as a signing. First of all, what was your gut reaction when you heard that Sheffield United were signing him? Signing him back from Chester.
I must admit, I was surprised. If I'm brutally honest, I can understand why they want to do it, but it is a gamble, isn't it? If any team and if any manager, but if any team in the country is going to get the best out of Ched Evans in the rest of his career or in the next couple of seasons, it's going to be Sheffield United.
Yeah.
He hasn't got anything to prove, I don't think, but I think he wants to come back and show everybody that he wasn't a one-season wonder and he's a decent player. And the way we missed out on promotion, I think he probably feels I was going to say a little bit guilty, which is the wrong turn of phrase, maybe,
Yeah,
but it probably affected him.
Unfinished business at
maybe.
the club.
I think that phrase has been used, which is probably
Yeah.
the correct terminology. Yeah, I think he's going to have I think he will work so hard in the close season. Come back pre-season, he will be absolutely bombing next year.
If he were to produce what he produced against Sheffield United for Chesterfield in the hour he was on the pitch at the Proact Stadium, they've got a player.
He looked the part, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked the part in the game against us.
Yeah.
I'm sure again, Sheffield United will have done their research on him and seen the data and the stats on him, and they also know what he's capable of, and they know the link he has with the club, obviously. The one thing Ched will have on his side is the fans, of course. Yeah. The Sheffield United fans will be willing him on to do well, so he knows he's got the support of 25,000 to 30,000 blades behind him, you know, to help him through.
Most, I think. I mean, there's still an element, but you know, it's a smaller element.
I think the logical, sensible ones will understand, you know, the situation.
Yeah, that's done and dusted. We move on. We move on. And he comes with a poor record last season for Chesterfield. But we know what he can do. So, say around £500,000, is that a shot to nothing? If he can produce what we think he's potentially capable of, that's not much money. But if it goes the other way, it's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's a gamble, but at £500,000, I don't think it is £500,000. I think that's been exaggerated.
Right.
I think it could eventually end up at that kind of level.
Okay, yeah.
But a few £100,000, should we say? I think it's a gamble probably worth taking.
Yeah.
Also, as well, I think a lot of the fans, you know, the ones who aren't a big fan of him sort of coming back for footballing reasons, are probably, you know, they're probably just thinking, well, oh, he's not, you know, he's not scored, and they think he's the marquee signing because he's the first signing. He's not.
Completely wrong.
You know, and he is.
Good point.
He will be viewed certainly at the moment, unless he gets his goal scoring boots on. He's just a bit part player, isn't he?
He's not the only striker player.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you've made a very good point there.
Yeah.
He's got to find a way into this team.
Correct.
You know,
exactly.
This team has just won the league with 100 points. They scored 92 goals.
Yeah.
You know, so he's got to find his way back into the team. So they all start at a level playing field, literally, next season, and he's got to edge someone out of the team.
They're not saying that he's the answer to the championship.
No.
He's just another body who will give his all. That's all it is.
And there are players ahead of him, obviously not least Billy Sharp. Keelan Lavery is going to be ahead of him. Could be very exciting in the championship where he's played before.
We just signed James Hansen. He hasn't really taken off yet. He's played okay, but I think he's got one goal.
Yeah,
he's got a lot to prove. Leon Clark has done it in the championship before, and we're not ruling out any further signings up front. They've probably got their eye on, you know, maybe another couple. Maybe they want another tall.
I think there's going to be at least one more striker.
I think competition for places is obviously going to be healthy.
Yeah,
and we're going to need lots of options next season.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks again, Kevin, for coming in and reflecting on a season which for you I know has been particularly memorable, and anybody who's seen Sheffield United this season has thoroughly enjoyed it, some more than others.
Maybe.
No, I've enjoyed it thoroughly as well. And really hope that Wednesday can top off the season for the City with promotion as well, with the first time since 1984 that both teams have been promoted in the same season, as we mentioned last week. Thanks very much indeed for your company. We're here again with another show next week, which will have a Wednesday flavour because we'll know then whether they're at Wembley or not. This is repeated at 11 p.m. or it's on my YouTube channel this evening. Thanks as ever to Gregg and Phil, our technical wizards through the glass. See you next week. Bye. Bye.